What's up everyone, welcome back to another FPL video. Today we're going through my latest draft. What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. Happy Friday, I hope you've all had a good week. The weekend is here and we are just 1 week away from the start of the Premier League season, the start of FPL for a whole another year. The 38 game week starts next Friday. So what we're going to have a look at today, again, it's a Friday, so it is a draft video for you all. Here is my latest thinking and the changes that I've made from my previous team. So we're going to go through the team. Then we'll go through, as always, the transfers that I've made and why I've made them and why I'm considering the players I've got now versus the ones I had in my last team. And then we'll have a look at how I plan on setting up with captaincy, who I'm benching and everything like that for game week 1. The first option we have, of course, I've still got Bachmann and Foster in my goalkeeper slot. So I've gone for the Watford defensive double up. This is because I've spoken a little bit about Bachmann in some of my previous videos. I think at 4.5 million, he offers really good value. Watford were very good defensively in the Championship. And at 4.5 million, it allows you to have the first choice goalkeeper and second choice goalkeepers. If anything was to happen to Bachmann, or if there was rotation with Foster getting some minutes, I would have both of those options. Now, there is a chance that I go with Sanchez of Brighton, but I do think Bachmann of Watford at the moment has a higher chance to get more save points going into the start of the season because they often concede more shots than maybe Brighton will. So at the moment, Bachmann's gone in both to clean sheet and save point potential. In the defence, we start off with Luke Shaw coming in at 5.5 million. Now, the more I look at it, the more those opening sort of 6 fixtures for Manchester United mean I really think Luke Shaw is a good pick. 5.5 million is a really fair price for him as well. He has clean sheet potential, but is by far the most attacking out of those Manchester United assets. And this means not only does he get goals and assists, but even if he doesn't, he gets good bonus points as well because he's creating chances and is heavily involved with the number of passes he makes and everything like that. So 5.5 million, clean sheets, attacking returns and everything with that on top of the bonus points that I think you can get. Given the start of the season, I think Shaw at 5.5 is a really nice pick. Combining this, another 5.5 option is Luca Dean of Everton. So again, I think at 5.5 million, he offers really nice value. Everton have one of the nicest starts to the season, some of the best opening fixtures out of any team, and this stretches for quite a long period of time. So I hopefully won't have to worry about Dean getting rotated or not being a good option because those fixtures are just so good. I can just leave him as a set and forget option in my team. So 5.5 million, he gets forward, he puts a lot of crosses in, he's on some set pieces as well. So both with clean sheets, but also that attacking threat that I love, combining defenders that have clean sheet potential, yes, play for a good team, but also have that assist and goal potential as well. Next up, we have Luke Ayling coming in at 4.5 million. So the 4.5 million option I've got in my team. I think Leeds have been good defensively, and especially at the second half of last season. Now, the opening start to their season isn't as great as I would have hoped, but looking at some of those other defensive options, there's potentially injuries now we've got for Fofana, which was very unfortunate, and I hope he recovers very quickly. But also at Brighton, there are some injuries in there as well. I just think Ayling is probably the most assured option that we've got at the moment. So he's the third and probably the 4.5 option that I would go with. Next up, we have the Liverpool man, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who of course makes it into my draft. He will be in my team for game week 1 unless he gets injured. I think with the defensive solidity that they'll have at the back with all these new centre-backs, both coming back from injuries, but the signings as well, I think they'll be better defensively, and it'll also allow Trent to get further forward because he'll have less defensive duties to do because they can rely on those centre-backs a little bit more. So both from open play, getting forward, crosses into the box, but also from set pieces, corners, free kicks, direct free kicks as well. On top of the clean sheets, I just think 7.5 million, you're a braver person than me to go into the season without Trent, and he has such a potential for points. And finally, to combine with Ayling, so they potentially could rotate in my team, we have two 4.5 options, is Veltman of Brighton. Now, this was originally Dunk, and I think Dunk is a nice option with the attacking threat he had, but I did need the money in order to upgrade elsewhere in my team that we'll get into. 4.5 million, Brighton are good defensively, not quite as assured without Lamptey in there, without Ben White as well, but I still think they can pose good value at 4.5 million. So that completes my 5-man defence. We've got Shaw, Dean, Ayling, Trent and Veltman. It's quite a lot of money spent, and I do understand that, and it's feedback I often get, but I think there's a lot of great value in defence this season, especially with those sort of 5.5 million options. So Shaw, Dean and Trent have the ability to get really big hauls. both from clean sheets but also attacking returns as well. Moving into the midfield, so the first one we have is my bench 4.5 option in Brownhill. Now, he's in all my drafts and he is the best 4.5 midfield option that we have at the moment. He gets into attacking positions, either playing attacking midfield or the right-hand side of midfield for Burnley. He scored twice in a recent pre-season friendly. He's nailed to play. He played about 33 games last season out of the 38 and has that attacking threat, more attacking threat than any of the other 4.5 options. So it's a bit of a no-brainer to go for him for me. He probably won't play in my team very much, but he'll sit on my bench, and in case something happens, he can come in the worst case scenario. But combining assured starts with a bit of attacking threat, I can't complain. Next up, we have Sarr, who comes in. So 6.0 million, he's been in a lot of my videos, and I think he has the potential to be a really nice option if he's playing on the wing for Watford. He could be on penalties as well. They have a decent start to the season, especially from game week 4 onwards. We know he's proven in the Premier League when Watford got relegated. He still performed well, and he did it in the Championship last season, being Watford's player of the season. So 6 million for him I think is a really fair price. If I could afford 0.5 million more, I may go for the likes of Rafinha, but at the moment Sarr is in there in my midfield as that sort of cheap enabler there. Next up, a bit of a change. We've found a way to get Son in. So I've spoken in previous videos about how Son is the one player, or that sort of 9 to 10 million midfielder option is something I have been lacking in my teams, but I found a way at the moment to fit him in. So Son comes in at 10 million. They play Manchester City in game week 1. However, their fixtures from game week 2 to 4 are very nice. And I think if I don't have him in, or don't have an option to get him in for game weeks 2 to 4, then I may find myself trying to scramble around to make transfers. So I've tried to find a way to get him in, and I think I've done that. He had a great season last season. He's just so consistent with the way he returns. And if Harry Kane stays or if he goes, I still think he's a nice option as well. He's on a lot of set pieces, especially corners for Tottenham as well. So he has that goal threat, assists, as well as being a midfielder. So that extra point for clean sheet as goals as well for Son. 10 million seems a very fair price for him. Next up, we have Salah coming in at 12.5 million. Now, he's been in all my drafts, and there's no way I'm going into the season without him. Now, Jota and Mane both scored in the pre-season friendly on Thursday. However, I still think Salah is the number one option to go with from Liverpool. He's on penalties. He's the main goals threat. Been in the Golden Boot race for every season since he signed for Liverpool. He'll likely be my captain for 4 of the opening 6 game weeks as well. So Salah is in my team, and I really think he's a top option to own. Next up, we have Bruno Fernandes, who completes my midfield, coming in at 12 million. So quite a high price for him. But again, those 2 game weeks that I don't think I'll captain Salah in game weeks 3 and game week 4 when Salah plays Chelsea and Leeds away, I think Fernandes is a really nice option for captaincy those weeks. So those 2 work quite well together. I also think, again, it's very much easier to start with Fernandes than try and get him in if you don't start with him, and he does do really well. The opening fixtures for Manchester United, again, are really nice to combine with Luke Shaw, so I'm very happy with having the pair of them in there. Fernandes, we know what he can do. Mainly, a lot of his points come from set pieces, whether it's penalties, free kicks, corners, or anything like that, but as well from open play. With the signing of Sancho, he's going to be feeding a lot of these runs as well, so I think he has a really nice option again this season at 12 million. Just before we dive into the forward line, join the league code down below. It's a prize league and it's completely free to enter, so make sure you join that and check back videos and live streams to see if you're in with a chance of winning every single month. So moving on to the forwards, the first one we have is Obafemi. So Obafemi is a Southampton 4.5 million forward. There's a very small chance that he gets a few minutes off the bench, but he will be sitting last on my bench every week because we do have Brownhill to sit on my bench as well as one of those defenders each week. So Obafemi is just there. He can sit last on my bench. I don't think I want very many Southampton players, so I don't risk blocking myself from 3 Southampton players by owning him. So he's in there and will sit last on my bench every week. Next up, we have Ivan Toney coming in at 6.5 million. So again, I've spoken a lot about him. I think he offers really good value. There's not many other forwards in and around that price. Under 7.5 million, if you only have 7 million or less to spend on a forward, there aren't that many to pick from, and I think Toney has the possibility of being one of the best forwards at that price, if not the highest scoring. He did so well in the Championship. Yes, it's a bit of a step up moving into the Premier League, but Brentford's style of play is built to get Toney on the end of things, scoring goals, so I still think he has a lot of potential even though he's in a higher league, and he scored 33 goals last season, so if he can get sort of half of that in the Premier League, he's still going to be a great asset to own. Now, the final forward we have is Danny Ings, who is now an Aston Villa player coming in at 8 million. When this news came out, he went straight into my team. I have to admit, I was very happy with this news. Watkins is a great forward for Aston Villa, but the one thing that we see with them is they don't score maybe as many goals as they should with the amount that they create. But Danny Ings being signed, going into that sort of focal point of the attack, means they now have a clinical striker to potentially finish all of these chances that they're making. So 8 million for Ings, I just think is such a great price. Along with all the other signings they've made, Buendia, Bailly as well out on the wing, and then Watkins potentially playing on the wing now, it's geared up to create a lot of chances, and I think Ings will be there to put the ball in the back of the net. Now, I am slightly concerned about the injuries that he's had in the past, but I am focusing on the first 3 game weeks for Ings, and if he's fit to start game week 1, and he can stay fit for those first 3 game weeks, I think there's a lot of goals in this season for Danny Ings now he's at Aston Villa. So if we move on now and have a look at some of the transfers I made before finally seeing how I set up my bench and my captain for game week 1. So the first transfer I made was downgrading Dunk to Veltman. Now I needed a little bit of extra money to spend elsewhere, and we'll see where I spent that in a minute, but I do like Dunk's attacking threat, and if you have the 0.5 spare, then I think it is worth going Dunk over Veltman if you're going to play them each and every week. Now I probably plan on rotating Veltman with Ayling in my defence, so I don't necessarily need Dunk every week, which allows me to have that 4.5 flexibility. But if you're going with a Brighton defender every week, I do think Dunk is worth it. This 0.5 million allowed me to upgrade Watkins to Ings. Now there is a chance that Ings is not available or ready to start in game week 1, and then I can reevaluate that. However, I do think Watkins will now play slightly wider with Ings going through the middle and Bailly on the other hand side with Buendia just behind them doing most of the creativity. I think Ings is a really nice option because he'll be playing through the front. He'll probably be on penalties as well for them. I just think he has that cutting edge over Watkins. Now, there is a chance that Danny Ings, of course, gets injured or isn't ready for the start of game week 1, and I can easily do this transfer back the other way. Now, elsewhere in my team, I did Jota downgraded to Sarr. Again, frees up a little bit of money. I do like Jota, and I think he has a good chance of starting the first few game weeks. However, I needed the little bit of money, couldn't quite stretch up to Jota, and he was one of the players that I sacrificed just because I'm not quite so sure on the minutes he'll get throughout the whole season, with Firmino potentially being back and ready for game week 1. The other 2 transfers I did, so I downgraded Calvert-Lewin to Obafemi and I upgraded Gibbs-White to Son. So that money I freed up doing Jota down to Sarr helped me afford doing Calvert-Lewin to Son effectively. I really like Son, and I think he's got more potential for points than Calvert-Lewin does. I suppose it's a combination of Calvert-Lewin and Jota, or Son and Sarr for me, and I just like having that extra flexibility that I bring having that 10 million midfielder. So for example, if Sancho or Mahrez starts very well, it's much easier for me to get them in, and I do like Son's fixtures after the first game week against Manchester City. Just to wrap up how I plan on lining up for game week 1, it's a 4-4-2 formation, and it gives me Trent, Dean and Shaw with Veltman starting this game week because Ayling has a difficult fixture in my defence with Bachmann in goal. In my midfield we have Fernandes, Salah, Sarr and Son with Ings and Tony up front. So my bench, Ayling, Obafemi and Brownhill there, with Mo Salah being my captain at the moment for game week 1 away to Norwich, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So that's my draft at the moment for game week 1. There'll be plenty more videos both covering useful content as well as draft videos before the start of the season. If you have enjoyed, please do like the video and subscribe. There are streams and videos every day between now and the start of the season, so do subscribe with notifications so you get that little bit of a reminder and help me grow a little bit more before the start of the season. But that's all we've got time for. I hope you have enjoyed. Any questions you've got, drop them in the comments down below, and I will see you all tomorrow.